Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Midnight Post. As you can see, we're joined by Thorin, who is returning. He was missing last week, missing in action, but good to go this week.
Yes. Yeah, I'm good to go. We had some ice hit us, and I took a tumble down the stairs. I slipped and fell, and I was sore, and there was just no way I was going to be able to sit here
Mm-hmm.
and do that. The older I get, the worse I can find that the ground sucks. The
Yeah,
older I get, it seems to get worse.
yeah, and with those ice deals, I mean, it doesn't matter how old you are, you go down, it's gonna hurt bad. So,
Yeah, I had no control. In fact, the worst part is I was actually stepping out my door, so I had one foot out, one foot in, and
mm,
I just went, and it was bad. I just was not, and I was just unable to continue on for the show to have the guest on.
yeah.
But
Well, when you're in that much pain, I can imagine it'd be a little distracting.
yeah, it was pretty rough.
Yeah, but at least we're good to go this week, and we've got a pretty interesting topic for you all. We're going to be talking about the Mary Celeste, kind of a ghost ship type deal. I've always been fascinated by ghost ships, and I know Thorin, you have as well. What first got you into this?
The mystery of it, the puzzle, that we're there's a very good chance we'll probably never know what happens to some of these ghost ships or what happened to them, especially the ones farther in the past when there was less radio contact or anything like that. When they're going off of star charts or just compasses, star charts, maps. Yeah, we're probably not going to know what happens to some of these ghost ships. There's several of them, but the Mary Celeste is a very popular one, and so that's the one I thought we'd cover. But it's got its own range of theories. People have their own ideas of what happened to the crew, but it's a pretty fun one though.
Yeah, so what was the time period when this whole deal went down, and I don't know, when did they even discover it?
Okay, well it was in 1872. They set sail from New York City on the Mary Celeste on November 7th, and their goal was to get to Genoa, Italy. Was the goal. Well, on December 5th, 1872, the it was actually found by another ship. They seen it off in the distance and said, "Well, something doesn't look right with that ship," because it was the sail was like half mast and all this stuff. And they called the captain up, and the captain's looking through the spyglass, and he kind of says, "No, something's wrong. We've really got to go checking this out." Of course, it's a danger. You don't know if this crew's been pirated, or if there's people aboard. They're going to get taken over, But they had to take the chance to go because there's also the maritime salvage laws. They thought, well, if we can salvage the ship, this is also a bonus for us if we bring it to where it's supposed to go.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, but the idea is that they did find it and they boarded it, and it was just the weirdest scene because the crew was gone, in which the crew was only 10 people, and three of those 10 people were the captain, his wife, and his 2-year-old daughter. And
Hmm.
they're all gone, but the place is not ransacked. It's not tore up. It's a little disheveled from the just this water banging around on it. On all the charts and all the logs, 10 days prior was the last log, and there was nothing suspicious in there, from what I could tell, or what they talked about. But it's just like everybody was kind of just disappeared. It's like, okay,
Did
they're
they
gone.
did they have lifeboats or whatever that they would have escaped on? Were those still there on the ship, or?
Well, that's a theory that we'll get into in a little bit. It does play in because, like I said, there's several theories of what could have happened to him. There is a spot there should have been a lifeboat, but there was no lifeboat.
Hmm.
And you would think that by maritime law they'd have to have the lifeboat on
Yeah,
the boat itself, and especially if this guy's taking his wife and daughter out there, I could imagine him not having a lifeboat on that boat.
yeah. And so basically, they just found the ship. It was completely empty, no signs of struggle. And you said was this just like a family cruise, or were they transporting something?
Yeah, they had several goods they were transporting, including 190 some barrels of denatured alcohol, which they would use for lacquer in the day because everything was lacquered in that time period. And essentially, that's all it was denatured alcohol, but they used it for the ingredient in lacquer.
Okay.
But they also had some other foods, grains, stuff like that. They had several things they were transporting. But the biggest load and probably the biggest payoff for them was that denatured alcohol.
Okay. So let's go ahead and get into the theories then, I guess, really, because I mean we've kind of set the stage. So what is the most widely accepted theory for what happened?
Okay. The most widely accepted one is the one I accept too, just from seeing some experiments that were done. Denatured alcohol was stored in white oak barrels. For good reason. They're tight, they're not as porous, and it holds it real well. The problem here is there's about 10 barrels that were stored in red oak. Red oak is very porous. So as this boat's rocking, it's sloshing this alcohol around. This alcohol's seeping out, so fumes are getting out. Well, and if you've been on a ship, you know that the static electricity forms everywhere. So the idea is because of one thing that was found on there, the hatches for the down below were flipped up, like they'd been pulled up or blown up.
Hmm.
And so the idea is the theory is the denatured alcohol started seeping, and the boat was rocking, so you got the fumes start getting out in these corridors. Static electricity goes off, you get some small, tiny explosions, and it's compressed. So the idea is that maybe they heard these explosions, they see these two doors, explode off. They're like, "Oh my gosh, we gotta get out of here. This is dangerous." So they get in the lifeboat. They get everybody off in an organized, calm fashion. Get off in the lifeboat and tie a lead on there. Because they figure, okay, we're gonna wait a few days, see what happens, and then we'll go back. Or send somebody back to look. Well, the tow line when they found the boat, the tow line was either, I guess they said it was broke. So the idea is that maybe they hit some rough water or rough seas, could have tore the line. They drift. The boat's still sailing.
Hmm.
It doesn't take long, and because this boat's moving faster than their little, lifeboat's going to move.
Yeah. Well, you would think that the
So
line that
that's
they would
that's
use would be, made to withstand something like that because they are on the ocean.
well, and I thought that too. I thought, okay, well, maybe the line didn't break. Maybe it was just, I hate to say it, but bad seamanship. Maybe
Hmm.
somebody didn't secure the line as well as what they thought they did.
Yeah.
And that could have been, maybe it wasn't secured as well. They hit rough waters, you know, maybe they hit one of the underground earthquakes because that'll
Yeah.
cause like water spouts and stuff and real rough water. So
Yeah.
maybe it toppled them over and that was it.
Could you
They got
explain what a
consumed
water
by the
spout
water.
is?
Okay, a water spout is when you have an earthquake and the tectonics are always hitting, and it'll force pressure up, and you'll have actually a spout of water come out of the ocean.
Hmm. That's
It, it,
crazy.
it doesn't last very long. It's crazy, but it doesn't last long.
I would love to see one of those on
So,
film. I'm gonna have to look that up afterward.
oh yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, but I mean, that's a
So,
theory, and that's pretty wide reason because somebody did some experiments showing that okay, here's some denatured alcohol, shakes it up, sparks off some electricity with just the lid right there. Pop the lid off, just a nice little explosion.
hmm.
So I mean, in technicality, it would be the right way, you know, because they're calling this denatured alcohol. It's not for drinking by any means. It's not that type of alcohol.
Right. Well,
And you've got these little explosions going off, and so you're thinking, what the heck is going on? We've got to leave the ship.
hmm. Do you think that these people have transported this before, like this sort of thing? Was this a regular deal that they would transport
Well,
normally?
I'm not sure. I mean, I imagine that they've transported it before, but like I said, they're usually always put in the white oak barrels, and happen to be 10 or so of these barrels happen been the red oak, which
Yeah.
is a different material. So,
I was kind of just thinking that maybe they should have known, the behavior of these things once they became
they,
compromised. They would know how to handle it a little bit better rather than just
well, you
panicking and
would think,
abandoning ship.
yeah.
But I don't know.
But
That's
it was also, I mean, I guess you call it a skeleton crew in a way, because like I said, there's technically only seven, 7 people running the ship,
yeah,
excluding the captain. And obviously his wife and daughter is not excluding the
right.
ship. So
Hmm. Okay, so what's one of the more obscure theories? What else are we talking about here?
UFO comes down, opens up, and they transfer into a different dimension.
I love that one already, right off the bat.
That is one that is talked about. That it was a UFO took them, aliens they abducted.
Hmm.
Another theory is like a giant squid or mythological kraken, leviathan, something like that.
Yeah.
That this giant squid came up and it was reaching up, taking people off the bow of the ship or whatever.
So,
There is giant squid, but a woman and daughter wouldn't be out on the ship like that all the time
no, you wouldn't think so. I
to be
mean,
eaten.
yeah. Uh, so definitely some holes in that one. As cool as it sounds, but so like even going back to the UFO one. So in that situation, we're assuming that there was no life raft or was no lifeboat. Otherwise, they would have found it still attached to the
Yeah,
ship, right?
exactly. That's a hole in there. Like you said right there, because I'm sure there had to have been a lifeboat.
Well,
Because I'm pretty sure it was by law they had to have one
that's what I was gonna
before
say. I
they could
wonder.
leave port.
I wonder if they had some sort of inspections for every boat before they left. So maybe, yeah, maybe that's what it is. There must have been one.
So that could, so that's a way to poke a hole in the whole UFO thing or being sucked to another dimension. Like, well, why is there boat gone? Where's
Yeah.
the lifeboat at?
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. So we got those
Another
two.
theory. Okay, so we got the giant squid. We had the UFO.
Was waterspout by itself? Was that one of the theories,
It, I,
or is
I
that
want to say
tied
it
into the
was.
the main? You know.
It's kind of tied into both of them because it could have been a water spout that caused them to think that they were taking on too much water.
Hmm.
Because you got
Okay.
this water pouring in, like, oh no, we're taking too much water, we gotta get out.
Yeah.
Um, as for any other theories, really those are the big ones. Uh,
Was there any talk of foul
I
play, like a murder or pirates or something?
there, well, that was a theory too. I guess I shouldn't say it's all of them. Pirates were a theory, but the problem is there's a chest full of their gold or their money was still there. The place wasn't ransacked. It wasn't tore up. All the goods were still there.
Hmm.
So it doesn't sound like a pirate-esque type thing.
Yeah.
Plus, there was no sign of struggle or murder or anything. So
Right. Yeah.
the other theory but they've disproven it actually shortly after they started investigating, was ergot poisoning, which is what happens when like barley, wheat, grains, and stuff go bad.
Hmm.
They'll get ergot poisoning, and it's pretty rough on the people. But there was still plenty of rations to get to where they were going, and they'd been eating it, and plus some of the crew had ate it before they set sail, and
Okay.
nobody had any problems. And upon examining the food, it was safe.
Okay.
So ergot poisoning was taken out because that was something that happened. I don't know if you ever heard of the dance till you die disease.
Oh, right.
There's a
Yeah.
lady that got ergot poisoning, and she literally kept dancing till she died
Wow.
because it messes with your head.
Yeah. Huh. Okay. So
Those are the big theories, anyway.
yeah. So I think we've kind of gone over all those. It's just I don't know. It just is crazy to me. I mean, when you think of ghost ship, you think of tattered sails and all this stuff, and like this giant ship coming out of the fog or whatever toward you. But I mean, I can imagine with the Mary Celeste, like that would be almost the stereotypical ghost ship coming at you, especially once you find out that it's
Yeah,
completely empty and just adrift out there, really. So I
yeah.
mean,
It's like it was still seaworthy. It was still sailing. You just had one little battered sail, but
yeah.
there wasn't a problem with it.
So it's almost like it did go through a storm then, if it had a battered
It,
sail.
it very well could have. Like I said, the last login entry they had was 10 days before they found it.
Okay.
So maybe they did hit a storm. If they hit a storm, that could have also been why they lost their tow line as well.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds to me pretty much like that's what happened. They abandoned ship, peacefully or whatever, and then maybe they just didn't tie the tow line the correct way or whatever it is. Maybe they didn't hook it up the right way and just kind
Something.
of lost
Yeah.
lost the ship, and then they drifted out
I
on
mean,
sea until they
there's
perished.
10 people out there in a little boat. You're not going to catch up with this big boat that's already got the momentum going.
Hmm.
You've lost your momentum because you're not being towed anymore.
Yeah.
You can only paddle so fast till it's going, 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 gone.
Yeah. And what a hopeless feeling that would be.
It is. It's a very hopeless. It's like unless somebody comes by, we're gonna die because we have no food. No, as far as we know, they had no food or water on
Yeah.
them.
And like die
But
in the
maybe they
worst
did.
way, just starving,
Yeah, it's like we're
dehydration.
gonna starve or we're gonna die of thirst, one or the other, or we're
Yeah.
gonna drown because maybe
They're
we're
gonna
gonna get
jump out.
capsized and that's gonna be it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So, do you know much about what happened after they recovered the ship? Like, what happened to the Mary
Okay.
Celeste?
Well, what happened after they recovered it? It went under some, of course, investigations, but then it was actually sold and renamed,
Hmm.
and they used it quite a bit to do some more trading and stuff, some more travel, some more goods. Then in the 1900s, early 1900s, a captain decided he was going to pull an insurance scam, and he literally on purpose ran it ashore.
Huh.
And when they do that, that means they run it literally on shore with nothing,
Wow.
with the hopes that he would destroy the goods, he would get the insurance money, and walk away.
Huh.
Well, they found out that he faked it, that he done it on purpose, and they went ahead and it was repaired again, but they're not sure where the remains went. They're pretty sure the records show that it crashed somewhere, that it wrecked. It was a shipwreck,
Okay.
but we don't know where.
Huh.
uh, so we really don't know where it is. Somebody said something like, "Well, off of Haiti and all that, it's one of those islands is where it was shipwrecked at." No,
Hmm.
it's over here in this island that's kind of in the middle of nowhere that you wouldn't notice.
But we know for sure that it's wrecked. It's not out there
It's wrecked.
still
No,
sailing the seven seas today.
no, it's not selling the seven seas today. They're pretty confident that it's been crashed.
Bummer. So, kind of looking at the grand picture, like how often do we come across ghost ships like these abandoned vessels? I mean, it's pretty rare, right?
It is pretty rare. I, Even back in the day, I think it was pretty rare for them to come across them because at first off, they did have ghost ships out there. No guarantee people came across them unless by some chance it was on the same journey that
Yeah.
the other ship could have
I
been
mean,
on.
the ocean's a big place,
And
so
the ocean's a very big place, and it's very easy to get lost.
yeah.
One wrong turn, one wrong star looking at, wrong one,
Hmm.
map reading, you're gone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we still have some of them to this day that happened. There's one a few years ago off the coast of Australia. All three guys were gone, and they don't know exactly what happened to them.
Wow.
I mean, that was back in 2006, 2007.
So that's fairly recent, really.
Yeah. So it still happens, just not as often anymore. With our technology that we have now, it's less often that it happens.
Yeah, because they probably have like trackers and GPS on the ship when it happens and all that stuff. I would imagine.
And of course, there's boats that go out, on fishing trips and stuff. Like there was one as an NFL player, two NFL players. They went out fishing, nothing major. They hit a bad storm. They never came back. The boat
Hmm.
finally washed up, but they never came back.
Yeah. Wow. I think I remember hearing about that happening to a country singer, like kind of one of those up and coming country singers who went out fishing and he
Very
did it.
good possible.
He was like he jokingly tweeted that there's a storm and if he doesn't come back, then he loves whoever. So yeah, that famous last words, man. It's pretty crazy
Yeah,
though. I mean,
it is.
it's a cool idea, and I guess I kind
Yeah.
of romanticize the idea of a ghost ship a little bit, but it's just a cool thing in general. So obviously, the Mary Celeste was not like haunted. It's not a ghost ship in the classical way, but
No,
I mean, it's
no.
kind
The
of
idea of a ghost ship was it was abandoned. It was an
yeah,
abandoned ship.
kind of like you would call a ghost town, I guess. Really, it's
Yeah,
not necessarily haunted,
and
but it's empty.
and I encourage people that don't be afraid of going out on the ocean and stuff with a controlled environment.
Yeah, right.
My family and I, a few years ago, we took a cruise and we enjoyed the heck out of it.
Mm,
We were down the Gulf and went all the way down to Mahogany Bay. Not Mahogany Bay, I'm sorry. In the Roatan Islands, which is just right north of South America.
wow.
But when we got out there, you could see no land, and it is kind of freaky.
Yeah, I can
But we
imagine.
were safe though. It was very safe.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
It's
ask you.
safer than what it was. It's
Right.
safer than what it was.
Yeah, because when you get to that point
But
where you can't see land on any side of you, and you know that like if anything happens, I don't know about what's going to happen after that. Like, but I mean,
yeah,
obviously, it's a lot safer than it used to be, and these ships are state of
it
the art
is.
now. So,
Oh yeah, like I said, I wouldn't object for people to go out in the ocean, and if you think you can enjoy it. Sometimes it is a mental block. The idea that when you look out, over this deck, there's nothing but water, and
yeah.
that's it. There's no other ships. There's no water,
And
no
for me,
land.
for me, my brain is like, what's down in that water? Like sharks that are gonna eat me immediately when I touch the surface. You know?
Well, it depends on where you cruise at.
Right? Yeah.
We had dolphins.
Oh yeah.
You've
I'm
seen
sure the
dolphins,
dolphins would
but that
probably
was
try
about
and save you. They kind of nose you up to the surface again.
yeah, yeah. You can just ride them on up.
Yeah, become one with the
You
ocean.
there?
Um, so let's see. I'm trying to think of anything else we should cover right here before we end the episode. Um, I mean, I think we pretty much touched on everything. Um, I don't know. Is there anything else that you think people should know about the Mary Celeste or ghost ships in general?
Just because it says a ghost ship doesn't mean it's necessarily haunted.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it's
Sad but
not
true.
going to be your typical. It's yes, it's sad but true, but it's not your typical. Oh, it's just run down. There's holes in the side of it, and not necessarily.
Yeah.
Most of the time, they're pretty good. They're still seaworthy. It's just some bad stuff happened.
Yeah.
May never know what happened, but we know something happened.
Yeah. And I'm sure there are much darker cases of ghost ships too. I mean, they're
Yes.
much more sinister things that happen. But I mean, again, with the Mary Celeste, when you're carrying, for all intents and purposes, a giant alcohol bomb, I mean,
Yeah.
there things could go wrong too. So I don't know. I
Yes.
mean, it just depends on the situation, and I don't know. It's interesting for us to speculate on now. So
It is. It's
it
pretty
almost
fun.
it almost reminds me a little bit of the Dyatlov Pass incident that we talked about in earlier episodes with the whole
Yes.
disappearing and everything's completely orderly and everything is just the people are gone. I mean, at least with the
They're
Dyatlov though,
gone.
they found the bodies, but I mean in
Yeah.
the
Here
ocean,
they'll never find them. I mean,
yeah,
there's
needle in a haystack, or
yep,
actually more extreme than that, really.
very very extreme. They're like I said, they never found the lifeboat or nothing. So
Yeah. Hmm. Well, I think that just about does it. So I want to thank you, Thorin, for being on the show again and for filling us in on the Mary Celeste.
yes, very happy to.
And I think that about does it. I hope you all enjoyed the episode, and we will catch you right here next week for the Dog Man. We're going to talk about the cryptid canine, the Dog Man.
Mm.
So tune in for that next week, and thank you all for watching.